And just so you know, we take comments more seriously from people who sit closer to the front. So decide where you want to sit.
You know, in school, Jeremy, I always sat in the back. I didn't learn a damn thing, but this is impressive. You know?
I got it. No, I didn't know. What you want me to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Jeremy Evans. I'm the CEO of the Franklin County Economic Development Corporation. I'll do a couple introductory things first, but I'd like to start out by us all standing and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome everybody. This is a public hearing for the Oval Wood Dish Tupper Lake LLC project. Again, my name is Jeremy Evans, CEO of the Franklin County Industrial Development Agency. I'm joined by my colleague Rachel Karp and also by two board members, Eric Shaheen and Clyde Rabideau. We're really glad to be with you tonight. So just a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, as I mentioned before, this meeting's being live streamed and recorded. So please be respectful of those who are speaking, just to make sure that whoever is speaking is captured well in the microphone so that everybody can hear. There's a sign-in sheet in the back, so even if you don't plan to speak, please sign in. It's a demonstration of public interest in the property or in the project, so we'd love to have you sign in. Here's how we're going to work this public hearing. First of all, I'm going to read a description of the project using all the legalese that I'm required to do. Then what I'm going to do is share a presentation that just describes a little bit more about the project and also the proposed or the benefits that the IDA is considering offering to the project. And then we'll open it up to public comment for everybody who would like to make comments about the project. I'll reiterate a couple of things when we get to that point, but please remember that this public hearing is about the project and the benefits that are being proposed by the IDA. So we would ask you to try to limit your comments to that specific focus. Unfortunately, this is not a question and answer session. That's why I will be doing a presentation. I do like to share as much as I can about the project and the proposed benefits, but it's a public hearing session, not a question and answer session. We will allow 3 minutes for each public comment. We would ask you to state your name before you start your comments. And again, so that everybody can see you and hear you, the microphone's here, and I would just ask that everybody, if you want to speak, just come on up here and just stand somewhere right here next to the microphone. All right. So bear with me as I read this legal notice. Pursuant to and in accordance with General Municipal Law, Section 859A, the County of Franklin Industrial Development Agency is conducting this public hearing in connection with a certain proposed project, as more fully described below, to be undertaken by the agency for the benefit of Oval Wood Dish Tupper Lake LLC. The agency published a notice of public hearing in the Adirondack Daily Enterprise and mailed a copy of the notice of public hearing to each affected taxing jurisdiction. An affidavit of publication and proof of mailing will be attached to this record. Oval Wood Dish Tupper Lake LLC for itself and/or on behalf of an entity or entities to be formed, has submitted an application to the agency in connection with a certain proposed project consisting of, one, the acquisition by the agency of a leasehold interest in approximately 11 acres of real property located at 116 DeMars Boulevard in the village of Tupper Lake, New York, described as a portion of tax parcel 490-26-2-2, along with the existing improvements thereon, consisting principally of an approximately 124,647 square feet of multi-building vacant industrial space and related exterior improvements. 2, the planning, design, engineering, and renovation, reconstruction, rehabilitation of the existing improvements to provide for mixed-use commercial campus, including A, 80 apartment units comprised of 57 one-bedroom units and 23 two-bedroom units, all to be rented at regulated rents at percentages of area median income, and collectively the affordable housing facility. B, approximately 22,609 square feet of commercial space to be leased, approximately 5,225 square feet of co-working spaces to be leased, and approximately 8,484 square feet of climate-controlled storage spaces and units to be leased, collectively known as the commercial spaces. And C, other related structural work, roofing, building systems work, site work, exterior access and egress improvements, internal and external parking lots and spaces, curbage, signage, utility, and related exterior improvements. 3, the acquisition of and installation in and around the land, the existing improvements, and the improvements by the company of machinery, equipment, fixtures, and other items of tangible personal property. And 4, entering into a straight lease transaction within the meaning of subdivision 15 of section 854 of the Act, pursuant to which the agency will retain a leasehold interest in the facility for a period of time and sublease such interest in the facility back to the company. It is contemplated that the agency will acquire a leasehold interest in the facility and lease the facility back to the company. The company will own and operate the facility during the term of the leases. The agency contemplates that it will provide financial assistance to the company in the form of A, a sales and use tax exemption for purchases and rentals related to the project, B, a mortgage recording tax exemption related to financings undertaken by the company in furtherance of the project, and C, a partial real property tax abatement structured through a pilot agreement. The foregoing financial assistance and the agency's involvement in the project are being considered to promote the economic welfare and prosperity of residents of the county of Franklin. Based on the information provided by the company in its application, project will involve approximately $46,090,425 capital investment by the company, along with the payment of new revenues for the benefit of the taxing jurisdictions. Attached to this record that I just read will be this proposed schedule of benefits. There's copies on the table if you haven't received one. Hope we have enough. If not, please share. It's also on our website at adirondackfrontier.com. Okay. So now with that riveting beginning, let me get this back down to plain English for all of us. So I just want to share, try to go through some slides relatively quickly, just a little bit more background about the project as it relates to what the IDA is considering and what the proposed benefits look like. All right, first of all, so many of you know we represent 3 agencies, the Economic Development Corporation, the Civic Development Corporation, and the Industrial Development Agency. Each one has a different role and purpose, all managed by the same board and same 7 board members and 5 staff members. The IDA is a public benefit corporation governed by state law, and we, as a result, are permitted to provide benefits to certain types of projects. There's a lot of things the IDA cannot assist. This is a list of a lot of the things that it can assist with benefits, including this project. So I read some of the benefits that we consider for this project, but this is just a list of all of them. Sales tax exemption, mortgage recording tax exemption, and a partial real property tax exemption that's regulated through a payment in lieu of tax agreement. And that's the principal discussion tonight. IDAs, including us, have a uniform tax exemption policy that regulates how we are supposed to issue the benefits. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So payment in lieu of taxes are a payment that the developer or the owner of a property over the life of the term pays to the IDA instead of paying real property taxes. And then the IDA takes that payment and distributes it back to each taxing jurisdiction. In this case, we have 4. We have Franklin County, the Tupper Lake Central School District, the Village of Tupper Lake, and the Town of Tupper Lake. And we redistribute the payment based on the overall tax rate. So you take the overall tax rate, you figure out the percentage that each jurisdiction gets, and then that's how we distribute the payment at the beginning of each year. Pilot payments are always more than what the taxes are today, as far as the floor, but usually and almost always less than what the project would otherwise be subject to. And where you fall in that is the subject of the negotiation. There's advantages to IDA pilots. This is, I won't go through this in a lot of detail, but one of the things that both parties like is a couple of different things: predictability of payments, knowing, and then also knowing that the IDA is set up solely for this purpose, and every year have to manage and administer all the pilots that we have. We're a small agency, as you can imagine, compared to other counties in the state, but every year we are managing, I think right now we're at 12 or 13, and this will be something we do forever. So unlike a pilot directly with a town or a village, where people come and go and sometimes the paperwork gets lost at no fault of anybody else's, these agreements can kind of fall by the wayside. The IDA is regulated by state law, and we're set up to do it. And usually everybody seems to like that, except for us at the end of the reporting period, because it's a lot of work. All right, here's the basic process for reviewing a project. We are at number 4. So we received an application a couple months ago. We had an initial resolution approved by the board of directors, and we've got what we think is a good proposal on hand, and right now we have a public hearing. Anytime after a public hearing is held, the board of directors can consider approving or disapproving a resolution authorizing the project. All right, you all know about this project, obviously. You live here. It was last operated in 2008. It was, I know there was cold storage for a while. It's otherwise been an underutilized building purchased by OWD Development in 2021. I read the general proposed development that's being considered, and that the total project cost is $46 million. Just a little, I don't want to dwell on this. I'm happy to talk more about it with anybody afterwards, but one of the things that we try to look at is the condition, the economic condition of the community and of Franklin County. This is just some Franklin County data from our recent economic development strategy. And if you look closely through this, there's nothing on this that surprises any of you, right? We have a declining population. We have a population that's getting older. We have a population that's having a hard time finding safe and affordable places to live. Our labor force participation rate is lower than it should be. So we know the challenges that we face, but yet we're all here because we know how amazing this community is.
That fucking bullshit. You didn't live there.
You with that person for a while. All right, real quick, I'm going to go through some of the estimated economic impacts for the project. Jobs during construction is listed here along with the estimated earnings and local spending as a result of the project. And then below is the permanent jobs that are going to be created. This only considers basically the site management and related administrative jobs that are going to be created for the project itself. We did not anticipate any jobs that might be created in the future at any of the commercial spaces. So that does not include this. This is just the baseline. And those jobs, the estimated earnings are based on a 20-year timeline. And I'll get more to that in a second. So in summary, when you look at the model that we use to model this out, the total local benefit to the greater Tupper Lake community is $23 million. The cost in benefits, basically the cost in taxes that we will go over next, is estimated at 1.5 or almost $1.6 million, which leaves a very positive benefit to cost ratio for the project. And this is something that we're required to estimate and share before making any decisions. All right, so as this is obviously largely a housing project, so just wanted to share some of the benefits from having 80 new units. These are geared towards people between households between $20,000 and $66,000. Most of the units will be rented by people who live here. And that's something that the state of New York requires the developers to demonstrate. And so their estimate is that 65 to 75% of units will be people from the area, not just Tupper Lake, but kind of the surrounding area, Saranac, Long Lake will fill this building. 68% of renters in this income bracket are either paying too much for housing compared to their income or in substandard units. That's a really high number. And that is one of the reasons why this project has received considerable state housing assistance. It's because the demand for quality, affordable housing in the greater Tupper Lake area is very high. The 21 units that are geared towards people at near 90% of moderate income or of median income, those could certainly be filled by people who live in Tupper Lake, but just as likely will be filled by people who commute to Tupper Lake for some reason, outside the area, say they live in Lake Placid and work here, and this would be a much better option for them. And to the extent that those people are new to the community, they will bring their new spending to Tupper Lake. The last thing here is the analysis of this housing development is that the demand is so high that it will not have any effect on occupancy at other surrounding developments, whether it's Ivy Terrace for the new development in downtown Saranac Lake, the need and demand in the Tri-Lakes is so high that this project, you can have several of them and not meet the demand and not affect occupancy at existing projects. And obviously, the rehabilitation of such a prominent historic building is a benefit to the community. All right, now last thing, plan alignment. This project aligns perfectly with the Tupper Lake Downtown Strategic Investment Plan. The North Country Strategic Plan from the state had OWD listed as a priority project for many years, and also aligns with our strategy that I referenced earlier. Okay, I'm going to get to the actual proposed benefits. But first, real quick, I asked the developers who are here tonight if I could share just an updated timeline, because I know it's something we've all been waiting for. And this is one of the final hurdles. And as you can see, construction is anticipated to start in May, which is pretty exciting. All right. I wanted to share the property tax history of this property. And I want to call attention to the fact that when this property was purchased, there was a really big increase in the assessed value and the taxes that were then charged as a result, simply from the property changing hands to the current owners. There was no other improvements made, and somehow the property ballooned in value. So this is the property tax history of the property, and that's important to know as we go into this next slide. So for the next few slides, it's really good to just have this handy as we're going through it. So here's how we've structured the payment in lieu of tax agreement. There's two parts to it. First, there's the residential part, and then there's the commercial. I'll talk about the residential part first. The proposal, in accordance with our exemption policy, is to have what's called shelter rent. So basically, the developers or the property owners over the course of a year earn rent from renters. And then at the end of the year, they report that income, they subtract eligible utilities, and then the balance, that net income, is called the shelter rent. And then the pilot is 10% of that. That's how we calculate it every year. The term is 20 years. I want to note, it's highlighted here, the term under our policy, because this project is regulated by the state for affordable units, that we could have a 40-year term. Everybody in this room, including me, I've never heard anybody that says, I love really long pilots. Never. Like, if there's one thing everybody agrees on, it's that these really long pilots, people hate them. So it is not a small thing that this project, as part of this negotiation, the OWD team has agreed to a 20-year pilot, half of what they would be eligible for under our policy. So for 20 years, we take 10% of the shelter rent, and that is the residential side of the pilot. The chart that you have here anticipates that going up about 2% a year. Everything on here is an estimate, but we feel pretty comfortable with these estimates because it kind of reflects what happens with a lot of projects like this round. The commercial pilot is based on our policy's adaptive reuse schedule. So we have a schedule that says if you have an adaptive reuse project, which this is exactly, this is our exemption schedule. So we will kind of break out the value of the commercial part of the project and assign a value to it with the help of the town assessor, and then make a pilot payment based on that value. For the first 5 years, this is on your chart, but also up here, it's 100% exemption. So will be no additional tax or pilot payment from it. But then from year 6 through 10, the exemption goes down and the project starts paying a commercial pilot payment. After 10 years, through the rest of the project, through the rest of the term, it pays the equivalent of what the value of that portion of the project would be. Just to orient you on this table, because it's not exactly the same as this. The first page shows the residential, as I've described, in this set of columns, the commercial in the middle. And I apologize for people that are on Zoom, I keep forgetting about you. And then the final column on the right-hand side shows the estimated combined pilot payment each year. Just adding the two parts up. On this chart in front of you and on the screen, what I wanted to do is show what the residential is by itself, estimated pilot payment, and then this is the commercial. Estimated pilot payment is right here. As you can see, it's 0 for the first few years, and then it starts going up. And then this slide combines the two, and then shows a couple important things. First of all, I want you to note what the taxes would be, estimated taxes would be if this project doesn't happen. That's this column right here, where it says estimated full taxes with no project. Then we have our estimated pilot payments. And then we show what the taxes would be if there was no pilot. All of these are important for you to, and for us to weigh the benefits of the project. And so I'll note that our estimate is that on day one, once this project is active and occupied in 2028, that the pilot payments will be 2.5 times what the project or what the property generates today. And then depending on rents will go up yearly after that. So in summary, and this is on the sheet as well, the total exemption, what the pilot gives back to the project over the 20-year term, is approximately $615,000. The mortgage tax exemption that happens towards the beginning of the project is $325,000. And then the estimated sales tax exemption, which is an exemption from sales tax for equipment, supplies, all the other construction equipment and materials that are used during construction only, is estimated at $1.8 million. And so this is the key number that we're considering, which is that the project is requesting a $2.7 million in estimated assistance from basically the community and the taxing jurisdictions in these 3 forms. All right, so in summary, I'm not going to read all these, but this just kind of summarizes some of the key points of this project. And what we're going to do now is go into the public hearing portion of the question and of the meeting. And I just want to say this again. So the purpose of this is to receive comment from the public about the project. It cannot be a question and answer session. I don't know all the answers that you might have about the specifics of this project, number one, and two, that's not the purpose. However, after this hearing tonight, I'll stick around. If you want to talk more about anything related to this project, I am happy to do so. On the screen is my contact info. Please give me a call or send me an email. All right, so I need to stop sharing my screen. And like I said, we're going to have a 3-minute timer. All right. All right. So remember, we're live. So we just want to make sure everybody can hear everyone. So please be respectful when others are speaking. I'd ask you to come up somewhere close to the microphone so everybody here can hear you and everybody online can hear you. And we're going to have 3 minutes, and we've got a timer going. I'm not going to tell you to stop. I'm going to make sure everybody in the audience who sees this, especially you, Dan, if you go over, everyone's going to tell you to.
You're gonna yell at me. Are you gonna yell at me?
No, the community is going to yell.
I've been yelled at before by the community.
And again, I'll be here after to answer any questions you might have. So if you've got, who wants to be first? Okay, come on up, please.
Good evening. My name is Paul Maroon. I'm former mayor and former county legislator, and I was involved in bringing this group here. I've seen their operations in Utica and Syracuse and their fine apartments and condos that they've developed over the years. Why did I want to have this developed? The biggest thing I've heard over my years in office, the biggest blight in Tupper Lake is the Ovalwood Dish factory. What are we going to do with it? I don't think there's probably, as I look around, there may be, but I don't think there's anybody here or any group or construction company that would want to tear that building down the way it's built. Reinforced cement, it would be millions of dollars. We also have people across the area from it on the water side who are looking at building, and who wants to buy condos or who wants to go into a hotel business when you have a dilapidated factory? We have to do something with that factory in Tupper Lake, and these folks are making an offer to do it. I understand that people don't like pilots, but it's an incentive that's used across the state, in Vermont and in other states, to bring developers into the area to short-term. Yes, they're not paying as much, but in the long run, if we are able to get this operation running the way it should be, you may have that, not only that 70-unit development and the commercial development, but you may have a development on the backside, which is condos on the nature walk. And you will then have, hopefully, condos or a hotel on the water side. This will increase our tax base dramatically. We have to eliminate that blight. Can we do it as individuals? I don't think so. Can the village do it? I don't think so. Can the town do it? They're both laughing back there. I don't think either of them can do what needs to be done to put this program together. The people who are in charge of this operation are good people. I know there's some in the audience tonight, and I've met with them hundreds of times. And yes, I went to Albany and I went to Washington to try and get them additional money. Why? Because there's nobody, I don't believe, in this room that's going to fix that building. And we've got to get rid of that blight. Yes, there's state money involved. And remember this, it's not like if all of a group of us built a hotel together and we said, well, in 2 years, we're going to raise the rates from $100 a night to $200 a night. They are under control because this unit is what I call income-driven units. And Jeremy tried to explain it, but income-driven units means you're under state mandate, you can only raise it so much. So it's not like pure commercial property where we can raise the free price from $1 to $2.
Not enough. Paul.
Not enough, I know, but, so they're under strict controls the way they have to do business. So I support this project. I've done all I could to get it to where it is today and before. And I can tell you that I've seen their work in both Utica and Syracuse and factories, and they're well-designed operations. It'll free up houses from seniors who will then move into there, or people who can't afford their homes. Their houses will be resold, and they will be reassessed at a higher value than they are now. So I think it's a win-win for this community and for the county. Thank you.
One thing I forgot, everybody, is when you come up, if you could please state your name, so we have for the record.
Who's our guy here?
Paul did.
Did he? Okay.
Yes, he did.
Who's next?
I was told I had 5 minutes a week ago. Adam Boudreau. Just so you know, I'm not bidding on any of the work with the developers, so I am not here because I'm in any way going to benefit from this. To kind of echo Paul, you know, I thought about this from a business perspective. If you're looking at a $46 million build out and it's strictly coming from private investment, and you're doing market rate housing and your rents are set to $1,600, $1,800 a month, we know no one in this community could afford that. Instead, we have this mix where we have leveraged a lot of state investment, which forces us to look at affordable housing. I do not think that is a bad thing. I think that's a great thing. I think it mirrors what this community needs. It solves a real workforce crisis, 80 units of clean, safe, affordable housing for the workers we want and need. You pair that with the Northern Forests Park Street project, and we're building a genuine foundation for the people who make Tupper Lake run. Housing Visions has a proven track record. I believe the number is 56 buildings. Some of them you see up here tonight. It addresses a long-standing blight, as Paul said. The OWD site has sat dormant for far too long. The project connects the improvements we've made uptown and downtown into something coherent, a village that tells a story of momentum, not neglect. It also triggers a chain reaction of commercial investment. You think about an investor thinking, contemplating for example, a new hotel, and you start looking now from the town hall, the OWD reimagined, Timberjacks Pass, the future bike shop in the former Family Dollar, Jason DeTola's impressive new garage. Suddenly that stretch of road isn't a forgotten industrial relic. It's a corridor with real momentum. That's not potential, that's happening. Is this project perfect? Maybe not. Does the pilot program excite the community? Absolutely not. But this is our one real opportunity. The pilot discussion deserves honest scrutiny, and I understand the frustration of taxpayers who might ask why help carry the weight. But this is exactly the type of project that earns that kind of support. It's community serving, professionally managed, and catalytic in ways that benefit every property owner and business in the village and town. So finally, a question for the community. For 2 decades, we've passed this shuttered industrial giant every single day. What do you want to see over the next 20? Because we have a choice. It's this, or this, or something like that. Thank you.
Who's next?
Thanks for, my name is Jed Duquette. I own Timberjacks Pass. Thanks for plugging that, Adam. And I'm happy to be here. I rewrote our business plan. One of the elements that we wrote in the business plan a few years ago was because we were anticipating this project along with the rail trail and all the other positive developments going on. So we're very excited about this. From a macro perspective, this sounds wonderful. Perhaps this is semantics or me being just a little bit green to this whole process, but my understanding is I just received some information and I'm not allowed to ask questions about it during this part, but later we can ask questions?
You can ask questions, we just
can't answer them.
Can't answer every
Well, I haven't looked at
question.
the numbers very closely yet to ask an informed question. So I just wanted to make that comment. I look forward to looking at this and understanding it a little bit more, and then there will be an opportunity to ask questions later. But I can't ask that question. I understand that. So I just wanted to.
Define question. This
Yeah.
is the public hearing to ask the question.
Right.
And depending on what it is, I can answer it after the meeting or.
I'm a big cheerleader for this, but there's another hat that I wear once in a while, and that's all I'm addressing at this point. So look forward to that at some point. Thank you.
Who's next?
I'll give it a whirl, Jeremy. I'm probably a man who hates pilots more than anybody in the world. I just think there's a fairness thing that just leaves us all lacking. I studied Jeremy's proposal that we saw up there, and as you look at it, you think, oh, right now we have that property is generating $642,000 for the community. I suspect if these guys walk away, that value is going to drop like a rocket because it really doesn't have a lot of value at that point. And you've got a major liability sitting there with the infrastructure that's there. So if the pilot's in place, instead of $642,000, there's I think $1.9 million in play here. If the pilot isn't in place, there's, $1.2 million if there's a pilot. There's 1.9 if there isn't a pilot. That's a lot of money. $1 million could do a lot for our community. We have a stagnant village tax base. Our school district is in financial trouble. Our town would like to repair the buildings. $1 million is going to go a long ways. This would be a good project. As people have said, we're tired of looking at this. So I've come full circle on pilots. I think pilots are kind of a community's way of investing in a project that's worthwhile. And I just think that if we pass on this, we may be looking at that horrific spot, not horrific, the untidy structure for a long, long time. And I think for Joe Gem and his folks to step forward, I know they put together a whole bunch of funding. I listed in the paper last week all the grants they're getting, and I guess they're all grants. Maybe some of them are low interest loans. But it's a hell of a financial package, and they're not asking us a lot they're not asking us a lot to invest in this project, and I think it'll be certainly, although it pisses me off people to get pilots, this will be for the betterment of the community, So that's all I have to say.
You want to take your time, you only use 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
I can talk for another 15 minutes. Most of the notes here.
Next.
Notice, Jeremy, no one stepped up and took my picture. What's that?
My name is Fred Scholler. I moved here about 35 years ago, and it was a great town. Right now, half the people are not here. You go down on Park Street, half the building should be torn down. And I was in the motel business here for many years. But just by comparison, I'm all for the project. Just by comparison on these figures, 75,000, there's pilots in this town that don't pay half of what these are gonna pay. Right now, you can look them up. There's 80 apartment building, they pay 30,000. Some don't pay anything. So if you look at that building, when I ran the motel, there was people working there. They come out, they come here for business, they rent the motel room. Right now, you got half the motels in town. When I came, not even half. So every community has these things, pilots. They're all different, but it surprises me the money here, because right now we have nothing. So I think we should go ahead and go with this, because look at it the other side. That building's been there a long time, and we need people in this town. Because the people, there's so many people right now that are looking for apartments in this town, you're not even gonna believe it. I get a call every day. You have an apartment. They all think I'm a big landlord. I have 2 buildings that I rent, but I get a call every day. And looking at the other side, right now there's an old building been sitting there. The money, we're not making much, but this is a lot more than the other ones are paying. So I think we should go all be in favor of this. And 20 years from now, we worry about it again. We're still here. But what else was I had one question, but you said you don't have that.
You can ask questions and
Just one question. I was just curious, how much does the IDA gets on this project? And if it's a one-time fee when it's approved and all that, or it's every year for the life of the pilot? A percentage, just a percentage.
we typically charge 1% at the closing of the project.
The 1% of the pilot or?
Of the project costs.
Oh, the project cost, okay. So that adds
One
up.
time.
Oh, so you don't, during the years, you don't get anything no more? No, okay.
We typically charge about $1,000 a year.
Okay, that's not bad, yeah. But, you know, I like Tupper Lake. I have kids here, I have grandkids, they all have their houses, I built some houses, but we need people. Without people, there's nothing gonna happen. There's too many retired people and people that are whatever, you know? We need more people, working people, workforce, and I hope, like you said, I like that figure, workforce housing, you know? But I'm all for it. Thank you.
Who's next?
Stay with the 3 minutes, Brian. Stay with the 3 minutes.
Always. Hello, my name is Brian Merriam. I wasn't planning to speak at all tonight, but since you folks are so kind to hear me speak, another picture, Dan. I come from Schenectady. I lived there for, 40 some odd years before I moved here a year and a half ago. And I had a company of about 13 employees, and we could not find a good building in downtown Schenectady. Everything was C and B grade. So we looked at building a new building, but the numbers didn't work. So we went to our local IDA and our Metroplex, and they gave us a no interest loan. And then Governor Pataki at the time gave us a grant, and then our senator gave us another grant, and suddenly the numbers started to work. So we built a 22,500 square foot, 3-story building, and my 13 employees, along with 2 other companies that were looking to move, were able to stay in downtown Schenectady. In the 18 years that I owned that building, the 10-year pilot expired, and we started to pay full taxes. But the point is that the numbers worked by having the pilot. Every major developer uses pilots. This is not a novel idea. If it weren't for the pilot, we could not have justified doing so. But during the 18 years that we were there, my company grew from 13 employees to 25. And the most important thing was not the expense of the pilot or what the community wasn't getting in the way of taxes, but what was most important was that I was able to grow my company from 13 employees to 25. And these are $65,000, $70,000 a year jobs. These people were all able to come to downtown Schenectady. They were able to buy food, gas, go to the restaurants. And if it weren't for my company staying there, I would have had to move to another place where I could have bought a building. Instead, we stayed in downtown Schenectady. Since that time, there have been probably 35 to 40 other programs like that, but we were the first ones to have done it back 18 years ago. It's sort of a groundbreaking opportunity, and once other people see that it works, they're suddenly very interested and they start to do the same thing. So this is not a novel idea. This is the way it's done. And the most important thing is not what the taxes that are lost mean to the community. What's most important is what actually happens down the road. The people that you attract, as was said earlier, the people that will actually come here, the people that will stay here. When I first moved to this community a year and a half ago, I was not overly impressed with the way things look. And certainly the fact that you have a plan afoot is what keeps a person like me not only interested in staying here, but enthused. So it's not really a question of do you do this, you have to do it, but it has to be done because you're looking at the long range. It worked very well for my company. My company had been in business for 125 years, and my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather were all my predecessors. If they could have done what I was able to do, they would have been much more flourishing. So it's a wonderful opportunity. You just need to do it. It's all about the future. So thank you.
All right, we're going to try to let someone online share their public comment. Bear with us for a second, and should come through the microphone. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, good. I'm Scott Varden. I'm from Tupper Lake originally, and I'm 76 years old. Okay. Yeah, when I came home for surgery from an old gunshot wound, which you're all going to find out how it really happened soon. Tony Pete, who I went to school with, we met at my grandma Churko's funeral, and I know she could sew. So my sister, baby sister Jennifer, was having her first son. As a child, I had a thing called a mocher blanket. I sent you pictures. Tony, that one with the Sacagawea print, I still own it. Okay, it's a crazy story. It doesn't make any difference. My wife, Dr. Laura Barden, we're divorced now about a year, and I and Joe Hockey and Jesse met with the owners when they first bought it. Why? Because back then I had enough orders to put probably 200 people to work. I'm not kidding you. Now, why I'm saying this is today I met with, I'm in Maynard, Mass. I got a written order from Jack Ma of Alibaba, who bought the park there, Ross DuPont's park, where I used to be in charge of their explosives and their trout fishing. So I gave them a mocher. He found it. His New York office called me and faxed me an order, first time order, for 10 million blankets. Now, I know the condition in Tupper Lake, okay? It's this way all over the country. I've been on the inside for too long, people. Okay, some people in Tupper Lake know this. Paul, I love Paul Maroon. I got him started in politics, didn't I, Paulie? Student council. I got some work for you, Paul, because that's just one order. I wish I was kidding. Now, I've got one son in this world, and he's going to inherit everything. I got two beautiful grandkids. That's it. But I want, because it was created in Tupper Lake, and I told Amanda when I got the order, the order, I told her that she's not going to be forgotten on this. She helped me create it. And if you show the pictures, I mean, some people at Tupper Lake bought them because when they saw Jennifer's at the baby shower, that's when we started making them. but we looked at an area towards the back section. Now, I know that I didn't know about the plans about the housing and everything, but my idea, okay, and of course, we're going to have a board, would be to have single mothers trained to make these blankets, minimum wage $15 an hour, but they would have housing there. And then we would have a nursery so they wouldn't be far from their kids. And it doesn't have to be, it can't be the biggest part of this. I mean, I'm looking at these old mills here in the Maynard, Boston area.
Hey,
So,
hey, Scott,
yeah.
can you hear me okay?
Well, what I want is, what I want everybody to realize is that get behind this, because I guarantee you, you're going to get your hotel for that museum. You're going to get Big Tupper back. Trust me on that one. I've been approached all over the country from people who used to ski there. They all say the same things. Why don't you get this thing open again? I want my grandkids to experience what I did. Anybody sitting there who sat and grew up in that mountain? You know what I'm talking about.
Hey, Scott, we're a minute over.
Okay, good. Listen, go for it. I want to talk to, I got to talk to you people also. I've already talked to the state of New York, but I want to bring jobs to my hometown.
Okay,
So
thank you, Scott.
you're
We're gonna-
welcome.
Okay. Next.
Hi, my name is Mark Stocker, and I'm probably one of the newest residents in this town. My sister bought a vacation home up here 4 years ago, and she begged me to come up here, check out Tupper Lake. The minute I hit Tupper Lake, I fell in love with this place. I know you all have lived here a long time, maybe taken it for granted a little bit, but if you come from another part of the country, Florida, and come to Tupper Lake, this is the most magnificent place in the country. It really is. It is sad. The OWD kind of looks a little junky. Downtown, some of the houses, I just bought another house on Park that I'm fixing up. I live on the back road. I fixed that house up. But this is a great thing. I don't see how anybody could not want this to happen to our Tupper Lake. This is a great place. 5,000 square feet of commercial. Maybe we can get another restaurant here, get the mountain open. This has to be more than just a summer destination. This has to be a place where people want to come and live. And if you don't do something, I mean, I looked at the population. It's been going down and down and down. This is your life rope, your life rope right here. Build this thing, people come, kids will come, more investments will come. This is I'm telling you, I work in Lake Placid. I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't live in Saranac. Long Lake, maybe, but there's nothing there. We still have a chance in this town to be so much more than it is. And I certainly hope that this project goes through, and I hope everybody in this room supports it, because I sure do. Thanks.
Who's next?
Sorry, I was writing some notes. Hi, I'm Matt Showalter. I'm new here. My brother and I bought the Northwood Cabins. I'm going to read it because I do better that way. I'm a former numbers and math guy, and I want to just share my basic summary of what I think this actually brings to the community. I've recently moved here, which I mentioned, and we want to invest more in this town. This project represents $42 million in community improvement, and that's a real investment in the county and our town. You get jobs, you get a strong local spending during construction right away. From a tax standpoint, the project generates roughly $1.9 million more than if the property just sat there empty. To clarify, that would be $642,000 if it sat there, and if they go forward, we get $1.9 million. So all the benefits, they're neither here nor there to me. That's new revenue. It's not a shift. It didn't go somewhere and then come back. It's just new revenue. That number is conservative, and it doesn't include sales tax from businesses operating in the new facility after completion, The tax income from spending by residents and workers at the project after completion, increased tourism driven by a stronger, more active town, the additional revenue created by increasing housing capacity, which is a hard number to assess, but without a doubt, more people live here, more people spend money, more tax we get in the town. All of that undoubtedly supersedes the modest real benefit to the builder. Because when you look at the full picture, the $2.7 million that he mentioned that the builder benefits from in that pilot program results in tax revenue that would not exist otherwise. So the sales tax benefits, they're not anything we're losing because they're not spending the money either way. The $615,000 in long-term property tax benefits are really the only benefit that I see from that, any of what he's described. And then consider that the sales tax benefits that you mentioned during construction don't actually account for the actual cost of goods that will be purchased from local sources. So businesses are still selling these people something. We're just not getting some sales tax on it. So I say that the real property tax benefit is relatively small when compared to the overall upside to the community. And in my eyes, from a tax revenue viewpoint, this isn't a giveaway at all. It's a trade that works in our favor in every way. We get investment, we get housing, and we get economic growth, and the old ass building just looks better. So no project, no progress. I think it's a great idea. I appreciate what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Right it? Nobody else? Yes, sir.
My name is Steve Pernier. I've lived here all my life. And my thing is, what's it going to do on the village as far as services, as far as police department, fire department? This 80 apartment building. Right now, people can't pay their taxes as it is. And I understand what people are saying, what it's going to bring to Tupper Lake. But right now, it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. But right now, this town is straining. Last year, let me see here. Last year in school taxes, $1.2 million went back to the county. What does that tell you? Okay. The village of Tupper Lake, over a quarter of $250,000 went back to the county. This year, $772,000 people couldn't pay their taxes, went back to the county. What does that tell you? As far as the apartment buildings, as far as the cheap housing, there's not a problem with that. But I don't think the community, as far as the pilot program, I don't agree with it. If somebody can afford $46 million to put a building up with state grants, millions and millions of dollars of state money, taxpayers' money, our money, going to build a building, if they can't pay the taxes on it, take it someplace else. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak tonight? Okay. Do we have any others that you've seen online? Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
just, well, I might as well, right?
You're not too shy, are you, Mary? You'll be all right? Are you gonna talk about water tonight?
No, not tonight. Spare everybody that diatribe. Mary Fontana. So I just want to say, I had spoken to Jeremy earlier and I had warned him that had this meeting, gone unfavorably, right, towards the pilot, I was going to come and harass him at his meeting tomorrow. And I think it's really nice to see that the community turned out to get an education about pilot programs, to hear what the IDA does, and to really embrace the project. I fielded an awful lot of questions this week about the project and the pilot. I know that my board, the town board, the school all came together. We had negotiations with the IDA, and we did not take it easy on Jeremy. So that being said, I think he came out with, or I think the board came up with a pilot program that is favorable to the developers, that incentivizes private investment within our community. And it's nice to hear that the community is willing to embrace that. So Steve, your comments, any questions, I'll make myself available after the meeting to answer those questions that you have, any program related questions. But I just want to say overwhelmingly, I think this is transformative for Tupper Lake. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Last chance, if there's no other comments, we're going to close this. So let me just, what time is it? It's 7:06. I just want to say thank you to everybody that came out tonight, whether you spoke or not. The fact that so many people came to learn more about this project and participate says volumes about this community. And with that, I will close this public hearing at 7:06 p.m. And thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you.